Hello, everybody.
And,
I am
yeah.
Icy. I am an Australian streamer. I would like to introduce you to these fine people. They are all also Australian New Zealand streamers. This is Angry Wolf. She is based in Victoria. This is mAplinator. He is based in Perth, so it is very early in the morning for him. He had to get up super early to watch the stream. This is Daku of Angry Duck fame. He is also based in Victoria. I'm based in Sydney. We are here to talk about the fantastic, new, massively exciting Elder Scrolls Online content for 2019. We all got up. I'm sure you guys have all watched the trailer, the official presentation from Rich Lambert, and then the post-show with Rich, Gina, Jess, Ninja, and Jibs. So we have taken notes. We've watched all that stuff. We have many things we want to talk about. I will talk forever. But let's talk about the new chapter. Obviously, we are going to elsewhere. Angry Wolf, first impressions. I put you on the spot.
Honestly, no, it's all good. The trailer honestly blew me away. Like, I got goosebumps throughout the entire trailer. Which was like, I was honestly impressed as well. Like, I know everyone's saying about all the teasers and all that. They were saying, oh, there's not enough and all that, but hopefully everybody got mildly satisfied, even though there is continuations on for the trailer for sure. But yeah, dragons, lots of dragons, and
dragons.
Everybody got satisfied. Yet.
Oh my god, Map, your first impressions.
Well, it looks pretty good, obviously. I think. Well, I was curious to see how many of the fan theories that came out over the last. Has it been like a week? I didn't even know. Spellcrafting, big nothing. Necromancer class. Not exactly a surprise, but very curious to see how that pans out. And yeah, it was unexpected that they've decided to wrap the whole year under the same theme rather than just dropping the chapter and having sort of, I mean, previous DLCs have been sort of related, some of them, but not necessarily part of a whole package deal. So that'll be really interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, absolutely. Daku, your impressions.
Oh my gosh. So many goosebumps when I watched that first 3-second teaser trailer. The tiny little thing. We waited, it was 7 seconds. Looked at that and I was like, you know what? That was really well done. You know, people were getting salty about, oh, we had all that clicking. That was the ultimate troll and is exactly what we're expecting from the ESO community managers, because they're just like the rest of us. They're fantastic. And then this reveal. Oh my goodness, it was fantastic. Those cinematics just capture so much excitement and emotion every time.
Technical issues in the Map household.
His bookshelf can't contain himself.
Just excited.
Rip the pup final.
Oh, that's right. That's okay. For me, I think like the trailer was amazing. That little salty look that the Khajiit, what's her name is, I've forgotten her name. Chimera. Isn't that a car? Chimera. Yeah, Chimera.
Yeah.
That is a car, right? Perhaps it's spelled differently, but anyway.
I think it's with a K. I'm not sure, yeah.
Probably it's with a K. That salty look that she gives Abnathan as the dragon leaves is just like, did you just do? It's all your fault.
Oh,
it's okay. That's fine. Oh, he's fixing his shelf. That's okay.
I'm just fixing it.
No, that's right.
Okay, just fixing the top vinyls.
Yes, it was a bit like
we have
that,
a
wasn't it?
spelling with a K. Kamgira. Oh, it might be a double word, maybe. Like not just Chimera, but Calm and Gira, like with a apostrophe type thing.
Okay.
That makes sense. So,
or it could be like the Chimera. As in,
I'm getting some Chimera. Yeah, Chimero is the car. Yes. No. Yeah, that's fine. So that was very amazing. But to be honest, oh my god, the little being able to see some of the other Khajiit forms, body types is
Mhm.
actually going to be amazing. The little kind of house cat Khajiits, the picture
Yeah, the
that
little
just
small
flashed
ones,
through
yeah.
with their little costumes and the little hats.
Yeah.
That was just like,
Little bandanas on them.
oh,
Yeah.
it was like, there's a tweet out which I
Yeah,
saw of Elder
I
Scrolls
actually
memes,
have
and
a
there's one
picture
with.
of.
There
You've
is a
got that
picture,
there?
yes.
I've got a
If
picture
you've got,
here. Let me just
can
find that.
you
Here
show
he is.
that? It'd be awesome if you can share that.
Yeah, it's
There he
actually
is, right there.
I actually posted it in the chat if you want to bring that up. That's what it is.
Let's see.
It's
We
a bit
probably,
further up.
yeah. Can we?
I don't want to touch anything else.
No.
Sure.
Leave it. Anyway, super cute. So
Okay.
there was a banker costume. There was a
Yes,
merchant
and,
costume.
merchant.
So we will actually get to
Mhm.
talk to these small cat people and do all sorts of stuff. So that sounds really, really cool. All right, so let's talk
Mhm.
about some of the other new things. So look, let's start with necromancers. Why not? Necromancers are obviously something that you could play in lots of the other Elder Scrolls games, but not this one till now. Will you all be making a necromancer? Tell me.
Of
Yes.
Obviously.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. So what
Yes.
did you think of the so there was a couple of shots of the skill line designs. What did you think
Mhm.
of them? Dacu, you go first this time.
Yeah, it looks interesting, especially around what the concepts they're saying about it feeds more power and energy off corpses, basically dead bodies. And I'm wondering if that's the same way that repentance would work off both players and enemies and that sort of stuff, and how that would go, because we were discussing in another chat while we were watching it about the standard way for a DPS class to be classified is to do a skeleton test. So you jump in front of your
Yes.
skelly dummy,
Yep.
and you either buff yourself or you have someone put fraction buffs on there, and then.
Yep.
But if you're having to feed off dead bodies, well, your pass is not going to be very reflective at all in that.
That's true.
Instance, 'cause-
And that brings me to the thought of what's the necromancer going to be like in Cyrodiil? Can you imagine,
Yeah,
like
well,
on a
then
flag
just-
where there's like a bomber comes in, they destroy all the bodies and all the people standing on the flag. The necromancer follows with their buffs that work off dead bodies. That could be very interesting gameplay, shall we say? So
people
we're
will
really
release
interested to
really
see how
quickly.
that go. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I
What do you
definitely think it'd be
think?
more of a
Yeah.
group type of class though, for sure, in PvP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I wonder if, because
Yeah.
Warden was kind of like a very group favored class, really good in a group, maybe not as effective on their own. And I wonder if Necromancer is going to be, and really good in dungeons. I wonder if, yeah, Necromancer is going to be another one that's sort of helpful to have in a group. So what do you think?
Yeah, for
Map?
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, there was a little bit of an internal groan just because there's been so much talk about it for such a long time. It was almost predictable in that sense, whereas the Warden, I feel like, no one really knew what was coming. But I'm very curious to see how the skills play out sort of practically. We have pets currently in the game, which they've gotten better over time, but they're still not great. And the warden bear suffers from that problem, but a lot of the other warden skills that are sort of animal themed, like the cliff racer really is just a castable ability. Same with the shorks. So I'm curious to see, Rich was talking about they're kind of set and forget, and so how these skills will look visually, some sort of summoning effect, but from a mechanics perspective, they won't. I'm expecting them to probably not be true pets. So that'll be curious to see how they find that balance. And the corpses thing that everyone's talking about. I did wonder about that earlier, if there was going to be interaction with other players. And Daku's talking about skelly tests, but there's lots of boss fights as well where there aren't really a lot of trash mobs to run in and die. So I'd be curious to see how the necromancer performs in different kinds of PvE scenarios. Obviously,
Yep.
PvP, who knows what can happen. I'm not a strong PvPer, so I don't really, I can't offer a lot of insight. I imagine that, similar to Repentance, like that has the cap on 6, so I kind of feel like stacking huge numbers of corpses, there'll probably still be an upper limit on how much power that can give. But I feel like it's going to be one of those classes that well, I mean, obviously everyone's going to be running it to begin with, but I think it'll find
Absolutely.
its niche, and that you'll definitely want one in the group, because I suspect they'll provide a bunch of unique buffs that no other class is going to be able to bring.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Okay.
also very curious to see what a stamina necromancer looks like.
Yes.
Oh,
that kinda
yes,
does
that
my
would
head
be
in.
interesting. Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point actually.
Just
So,
thematically, that seems a
mm.
bit strange. So yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just a quick shout out to say hello to Fury76, who is one of the Bethesda community managers who prodded us into organizing this in a couple of days. So hello, it's nice to have you here, and thank you for a great idea. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah, absolutely. So from the stream, yes, there will be tanking lines, healing lines, DPS lines for the Necromancer class. Look, honestly, the tanking ultimate where you turn into the Bone Colossus was like,
Yeah.
like those
That's
picks
insane.
looked amazing. Oh, thank you, Inklings, for the host. It was a Stemcromancer. Corvo just suggesting that
Stemcromancer, yeah.
it could be the new name, which is indeed a mouthful.
Still sounds better than Stamden.
Stemden?
Yeah.
Probably.
Sounds like
Not a fan. Sorry. Keep my mouth shut.
Yes, BBD, go for it. What did you think of the Necromancer and the Justice system? So if you're using Necromancer skills in towns, that's basically bad behavior. Did you like that idea? Did you think that was not going to work? What'd you think?
It fits in with the
It feels like a
lore,
gimmick to
doesn't
me,
it?
to be honest. Like, it's sort of lore friendly, but I feel like it's one random thing that this class does that's gonna ultimately just become really annoying.
Well,
Possibly.
but
Who
the other thing
doesn't
is-
hang around? By the way, Shrine, just casting random abilities, and you can turn off, the attacking innocence option, and you're kind of safe from accidentally pissing off a guard. But if your abilities, by the nature of being your class abilities, are going to upset people, I feel like that's going to just become troublesome.
Well, it depends. Is it going to be every zone or only specific zones where it's outlawed?
No, Rich said it was going to be everywhere, I'm pretty sure.
No, he did say it was going to be everywhere, but there's a couple of interesting suggestions in chat from Derek and Manic saying, well, if they're going to do that for necromancers, they should really do that for vampires and for werewolves. Certainly, I think if vampires feed on somebody, that counts as a justice violation. But I don't think werewolf transformation does. I haven't actually tested it in town, but it should probably...
I've never been a werewolf, so...
You can talk to NPCs, fine.
Yeah, no, so that should probably... maybe that should be wrapped up together. I would say that probably a lot of people who are playing necromancers are doing so for roleplay reasons. So it being illegal, it actually kind of plays to that.
That's true.
Anything
Don't forget
else?
the role players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you have any other thoughts about the necromancers that you'd like to share? Anything else that popped up that you thought was amazing?
Yeah, healing aspect of a necromancer. You saw like the ultimate with like, I think it was Graveyard, I think it was called.
Yep, I think so. Well, there was a Graveyard skill, yeah.
Yeah, I think we were talking in chat as well. It's almost like a Warden Trees kind of thing, like a healing ultimate. So that'd be interesting to see how that would affect even
other players.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, imagine an ulti that just res the whole team, like in Black Rose Prison.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I was thinking that as well.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
it did. It really did. Then, yeah, that would be phenomenal. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other things. Let's talk about the story, actually. So what do you think of the idea that they're now doing basically a year-long story, starting with the dungeon DLC to open it up, moving on to the chapter halfway through the year, and obviously there'll be another dungeon DLC Q3, and then a final small story content in Q4. Good idea, bad idea, sensible, not? Start with the map this time.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to make me want to pay a lot more attention to the dungeon stories, which I typically try to do the first time through anyway. I try and pick a group of people that are going to be happy to just sort of wander around and, look at things and read the books and talk to the NPCs. And knowing that that's feeding into the storylines that are coming afterwards will definitely encourage that. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how all those pieces fit together, because they've done bits and pieces of that in the past, like Morrowind and Clockwork City were sort of connected.
Mm.
And I remember you guys probably remember as well, we were talking to Matt at PAX about how they sort of bookended. They had the Dark Elves physically in one corner of the map, and in Morrowind all the way up here, and then they kind of bookended that with Somerset at the other corner of the map with the High Elves, sort of polar opposites in terms of their culture. So I feel like now we're starting a new bit.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, I have to say I'm mildly disappointed that some of the ideas in Murkmire won't continue on. I'm so glad they did Murkmire, but I would love more there. So, but maybe I'm hoping some of those characters in Murkmire we'll find in elsewhere doing other sorts of interesting things. That would be awesome. Very important point.
Well, there were Argonians in the trailer, so.
Oh, they were? Yeah, that's true. That's true. But a very important point from BBD. He's just said that it'll be announced that treasure maps are stackable in your inventory. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Oh, yay.
That's amazing. That's extremely important.
Now
So
I've got even less reasons to do them.
This is the point, though. That's one thing. Okay, so talking about story as well, Imperials are the baddies. What do you think? Anybody got any firm thoughts about Imperials?
I
it's
think
very interesting.
Imperials have been fairly neglected in a lot of ways, because they don't really have a home in the game currently, because their home is Cyrodiil, which is a PvP zone. So they don't have like a base that we can really explore from a lore and a questing perspective. And they're still not going to get one, because obviously it's set in elsewhere, but I like that they're going to be a significant part of this story. And straight away I thought of Casual Ranger, because who doesn't?
He's going to be so upset.
I can imagine him fangirling.
No, he's going to be devastated. The baddies. Yeah, no, that'll be really interesting.
Imperial has been from early access, so
yeah, I've always been anti-Imperial, even though I run one of them. But, I'm full Khajiit, as you know. So yeah. So no, I'm sorry, but no, cats all the way. I'm really when they announced elsewhere, I'm like, fantastic.
Oh, apparently I've gotten that wrong. There is no map stacking. BBD with improvement. So, Angry Wolf, what do you think about? Sorry, keep going. Sorry, Deku. Yep.
Yeah, it was good in the post announcement stream that they continue on with Ninja and those. They actually just Dragon Breakers ruling that out. That's not one, because a lot of people were saying, how is the introduction of dragons lore friendly with the stories in the Skyrim, that saying they hadn't been seen for so many for so many generations, and that going back to, so they shouldn't have existed in here. So I'm very interested to see how they work that in to sort of keep it lore friendly. And that's why the Dragon Break, which is centered in elsewhere, where it's multiple realities, was touted, but they've ruled that out. So I'm really interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, no, it is actually quite interesting to see whether they might pull that back into the story. It is in that area, like we're talking about Rimmen, and there is a Dragon Break in that area around this time. Though perhaps that's maybe that's Q4. Maybe they can't talk about it now. Maybe that's the Q4 storyline. So. That would be actually fantastic. Angry Wolf, any thoughts about Imperials being the baddies?
I do like a good and bad storyline. So obviously you could see maybe the Khajiits are the good guys and the Imperials are bad guys. So I'm always been a Khajiit fan though. I've never actually played an Imperial really, so yeah, I know.
I'm leaving.
I've always been a Breton type of person as well, so I've honestly never really dived into the lore of Imperials and all that. But I am very keen to see what happens next, especially with the Imperials and the Khajiits for sure.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of the other. So we talk about the two big main ones, obviously. So the new dungeons. Any thoughts about I love the idea that you have the 2 dungeons, and it really seemed to do this. You complete the 2 dungeons, and then that seemed to unlock a small story quest where you pick up the 2
I
halves
love
of the
that.
tablet, then you do a
yes.
small story quest with Abnathan, and you're actually releasing the dragons into the world. That is
Yeah.
an amazing idea.
Yeah, like
Um,
it gives you like an initiative to do both of them, I guess,
Yes,
rather than because with
absolutely.
Moonhunter and March of Sacrifice, you'd always have like a favorite. You know,
Yep.
you'd probably never want to do like Moonhunter Keep because it was
Because
too hard or something like
it's
that.
it's an interesting
It's
dungeon,
insanely
that
hard.
one.
But
Yes.
yeah, you almost have just an initiative to do both of them to unlock an extra bit of the story. So I definitely think that's a positive for sure.
Yeah, I think that was an
definitely.
amazing idea. Yeah. What do you guys think? Up
top.
Yeah,
Up top.
I was just pointing out because you're the
I
top
don't-
left corner for me. I
Yeah.
see.
Oh,
Hey,
am
you're on
I?
this side.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at my
That's
stream.
right.
So, and it's of course it's going to be different on yours. That's fine. I'll stop pointing. I'll just saying.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking when they announced that it's a really good idea because a lot of, especially the endgame players that have leveled 10 characters, they've gone through quests multiple times, and that they're just running dungeons and doing trials and that sort of stuff, and there's really not a push to go and do quests. Like even Merkmire and that, some people might start the quest line, they go, no, I just want to concentrate on the trial and things like that. They want to get to the hard content, not that. But so it's good that they've actually weaved in the fact that once you've completed this, you unlock this part of a quest, and it'll sort of prompt those players to do some quest line as well.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I was hoping there would be dragons in the dungeons, not gonna lie. So maybe that will come in the second dungeon pack.
Oh,
Obviously
yes,
the
yes.
the 2 parts of the tablet is what unlocks the dragons, so we can safely assume I think there's not going to be dragons in those 2 dungeons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I love dungeons. That's most of my time in ESO now is spent doing dungeons and trials. I do the quests when they come out, but I'm not like a hardcore quester. I guess I don't typically repeat them on other characters or play them through on my main. And then half the time I forget it. I enjoy them at the time, but then I forget about them, and so I spend most of my time in group content. So the more of that, the better. I'm sure there'll be lots of FU Fin moments and absurd achievements to try and unlock. So bring it on.
Yep, no, fair enough. Well, let's use that as a segue into the trial. So trial will be in the Q2 release, and it sounds they're talking size of more blocage, so significant mob pools. So mobs that are not just knock them over with a wet rag. They'll actually require coordination, and then decent bosses. And also, all of the trial bosses will have their own individual hard mode. Thoughts? What do you think about what they've talked about so far about the trials?
I missed most of the trial stuff actually because my stream decided to freeze.
Oh my god, Mab, you
I
were
was
just
watching at Mum
going
and Dad's
to
on their
just
terrible
go.
Wi-Fi.
There are
and then I came back in
dragons.
just as Rich was saying that the bit about the unique hard mode. So I will have to go back and rewatch that.
Oh,
but
it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, new trials are always fun. I liked the formula of the newer trials where there basically wasn't any trash balls of significance. It was just boss fights, but I can see how they kind of can't keep doing that indefinitely. So I'm just hoping that it's well they've said more of Orcage. I suppose that's better than Sanctum Ophidia, which has the worst trash balls in the game. So yeah, it'll be fun to see. I really feel like they've been pushing like player limits, particularly with Cloud Rest, where there's so many complex mechanics. And then when you do the +2, +3, you start layering them on top of each other, and everybody has to get it right. There's basically no such thing as a carry in those trials because a single player can cause an entire group wipe. So I'm very curious to see how they keep pushing people forward and making us hate them a little bit. But ultimately that's the content in the game I find the most rewarding. Where something just seems totally impossible, and then you finally get your technique right, and everyone kind of pulls together, and then you get that yay moment, and Discord freaks out because everyone's yelling hooray at the same time. That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So Inklings in my chat is suggesting that the hard mode will actually be pronouncing the dragons' names properly in the actual trial, which sounds
Voice activated hard mode.
voice activated hard. Cal's good. Yeah, and BBD suggesting spelling them is just as hard, which is correct. So Joseph in my chat has got an interesting point. It may be that it could be that the hard mode is you might choose who your final boss is going to be. So activating hard mode on a particular boss means, okay, we're fighting that one last, and that will be the hard mode, which would be an interesting way to do it, definitely. So really looking forward to seeing what's going on there. So but yeah, definite dragons in that trial. So even if you don't see them, I mean, presumably in the little mini quest you unlock after doing both dungeons, you'll see the dragons escaping into the world. But yeah, it'll be dragons in the trial. Amazing.
I was just thinking also, like, in the trials, or like in Sunspire, the dragon trial that's coming out, do you guys know in March of Sacrifice, when you have to, if you want to get all the different buffs and all that, you have to go through the golden tricks. I'm thinking maybe like doing hard mode on the bosses, you might get particular buffs maybe that could help you maybe
help you with the final boss.
The final boss,
yeah, that's a good idea as well.
Maybe there's like a little reward or something, or obviously extra loot is the case as well for hard mode bosses, but who knows, maybe extra motifs.
If they do all have their own hard modes, if there's multiple bosses, I mean, we don't know exactly how it's going to work, but it does make me wonder how they're going to make, like, that's a lot of kind of steps of difficulty, I suppose, if each one of them has their own thing you can do. Like Cloud Rest, you have, +0, +1, +2, and it's sort of linear like that. But if it's like, I've got this many bosses and we might do these ones normal and this one hard mode, or these ones normal and this one hard mode, like how are they going to divvy up that the rewards for that? I think that'll be interesting to see.
So it might be Rich was saying that they're thinking, they actually haven't, they said they hadn't solidified that yet, but they're talking about having the perfected and imperfect possibly weapon and or gear rewards. So perhaps you can, if you need this gear in perfect, you hard mode this boss because this is the boss that drops the perfect gear. Cool. That would be interesting as well.
Hopefully all the gear is gear that we actually want then.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants perfect gallon ways.
Sorry, we'll just leave that. Nobody's doing that boss,
That boss would never get done on hard mode.
Nah.
It might be, weapons on one, jewelry on another,
that too,
armor on the other.
Or it could be randomized too, as well.
Okay, so, any other thoughts about the trial?
I think it'd be good for progressions as well, because you may, particular bosses, there might be 3 or 4 of them. You may be struggling with that particular boss, so maybe do that one on not hard mode so you can get through it, or if you want to challenge yourself, do all of them. There might be obviously different achievements as well by doing all of them at, during the same run or something like that. So there's always that aspect.
No, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk PvP. So there's some changes coming which are quite interesting. One, I suppose it's almost a quality of life improvement that I thought was a great idea, was actually separating Imperial City from Cyrodiil. So that was just mentioned briefly, but actually pulling that out to be its own standalone zone that presumably you can transit into directly, so you don't need to go into a particular Cyrodiil campaign and then join there. So I would hope that it'll, in fact, it's probably small. I mean, I'm hoping that there'll only be sort of one campaign for Imperial City, or just be a zone. You can go in there. PvP's turned on, but that means you'll actually be facing more than just 2 people usually, unless there's like the Media Mayhem event that's going on now. That would be fantastic, actually. So
I imagine they'll moderate it so that they'll work out, I guess, how many campaigns they think they need, and for events they'll probably add more.
And in fact, I wonder if they'll actually make it as a campaign at all, or if it could just be demoted to like a normal zone. So the zone can hold you know, 50
Yeah.
characters, and when the 50 characters full, it's an automatic new zone is spawned up again that you don't even know you're in a different zone. In the same way that, you know, if Reaper's March is full because everybody's at Rollcar, you just end up in a new zone. So, but yeah, it could.
Yeah,
I
but-
wonder what they'll do. I mean, it might still be your campaign. It might still be you're linked to your campaign, and you go in there, but the number count doesn't count towards the Overland Cyrodiil, which would be really good.
Mhm.
Sheogorath is coming to Cyrodiil. Thoughts?
Oh man.
Yeah, I
Thoughts?
missed most of this.
Oh,
Something about
map.
feeding-
Oh, this is
feeding by killing other
fantastic.
players. Or, yeah,
Artifacts.
So,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lore-based,
I caught the tail end.
yeah, the lore-based Elder Scrolls artifacts are coming into the game. So the lore-based artifacts are, there's literally only one in existence. Things like
My shield.
Mahunas's dagger is one, and it's Volderun that they're bringing in this first iteration. So only one exists in the entire Elder Scrolls universe at a time. Certainly in Skyrim and Oblivion, there are bunches of quests where you go and find that one, and you're the super cool player who gets to wield it. So the idea is it will spawn randomly in Cyrodiil. When it spawns, you'll be informed about, like, everybody in the zone will be informed where it's spawned. There'll be a massive race to go get it. Whoever picks it up is basically like Emperor, but plus. And then we're talking about things like similar to Emperor buffs, but when you pick it up, you actually get a new skill bar that are skills directly related to that weapon. And it's sort of envisaged things like, Rich was saying stuff like, you'll be able to knock down walls with this weapon. And it's like,
It's like
okay, let's bypass siege and knock down the walls. So it was envisaged as a direct counter to an Emperor group, pretty much. So
But
when
you
there's an
will
Emperor
not
group
survive
running around.
Swordfish.
No. Oh,
maybe.
walk on water passive? That would be amazing.
Wow.
Uh,
It's lore friendly.
yeah, it is lore friendly. It's interesting. Man, I hope they actually get Sheogorath, like the voice actor, back to actually do that. His voice echoing over the Cyrodiilic battlefield as the weapon spawns would be kind of cool.
Awesome.
Or whispering.
Whispering
if
to
you actually
you
do
directly.
pick up the weapon as well.
Oh, that would be
That'd
amazing.
pretty cool.
That would be amazing. So Ninja only asked the question, will the Emperor be able to pick up the weapon?
Yeah.
Which would be,
I'm hoping not.
hope not, because that would just be ridiculous. So that this particular
that'd be
weapon,
unstoppable.
this particular weapon needs to be fed
It's supposed to be
souls.
a counter imp strategy. So
Yeah, I hope
feel
not. So, but of course, there's nothing stopping the person standing next to the Emperor picking up the weapon, who's his
In the Emp
who's
group,
their mate in the Emp
Mhm.
group, and running around with both of them. So, it'll be interesting. So I'm hoping there's some sort of spawn. Where it spawns, it has to be outside of a certain radius of the Emperor, if there's one on the map. I think that'd be the way to go, if they can add that in as a programmable option. So,
And if there's a downtime as well, once it's disappeared, how long will it take to respawn? And are there like
is it
hotspots?
Yeah, that's a good question. It could make the map. It would. I'm not sure it should necessarily be in Cyrodiil all of the time. I think it would get tedious if it's there. You know, somebody dies, the weapon despawns.
It needs to be a bit of an event, I think.
I think it needs to be an event, even if it's, you know, if you say, okay, this is an event that happens over the weekend. When the gold vendor is up, this is the time when that can spawn. And perhaps it's also related maybe to the
time either.
Emp's not all the time either. Maybe it only spawns when there is an Emperor as a direct counter, which I think would be okay. Then it becomes an event, and it also gives. I actually know that's bad because people might decide to let an Emperor occur just because they want the weapon to spawn. So, but yeah, I think it needs to be not a constant thing. Yeah, it does need to be special. It needs to be semi-predictable so that you can go into Cyrodiil with the view that maybe you can be part of that battle. But yeah, so
on that though, where they said if you don't use it, it will destroy you basically.
Yeah,
if you're not killing players. Yeah,
which is I'm glad. I was just thinking how frustrating it would be if some Muttonhead picks up the
Just runs around with it all day. Oh, no.
stuffing around.
It's gonna be just like scroll trolling. It's
Sky Shard
totally
hunting.
gonna
Yeah.
be
Oh,
like that.
jeez.
No. It's gonna
Yeah.
be it's totally gonna happen. So all right.
Yeah.
Now what else was new in Cyrodiil? I think that was probably Battlegrounds. As a new battleground, and it sounded
Yes.
really cool.
Ooh.
Tell us more what you think, Dacu.
Juicy.
Oh, the fact that there's going to be. They were talking about segmented battlegrounds will open up different parts of the map during the battleground. I thought that is really exciting because
Mhm.
it does open up the sequence of. Could you imagine all the different there's all the different battlegrounds you play. So Chaos Ball, you grab the ball and you always run back to your base where your guys are going to spawn and come the quickest. But at some point you'll run in there and it could potentially close you off. You can't go back there. So now you've got a new tactic. You've got to work out how to win on that map as it shifts and changes. So making the map less predictable is kind of exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even like your home base, like halfway through, might actually swap to the other side as well. Just to mix things up a little bit, potentially.
Yeah. Well, like I don't know if any of you play Overwatch, as checkpoints occur, you start spawning in a different spot.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah, no, that's a good idea as well. Yeah, no, that could be very interesting. Like Battlegrounds and PvP in Elder Scrolls Online is not at a stage where it could be considered an esport or have the facilities to end up that way. Do you think this is more of a move of heading that way, or are we just kind of talking, no, this is just an extra cool map, or any thoughts?
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I mean, when we say it's not an esport, you do notice streamers that do PvP actually are very popular. So there may be a strategy to that, but Bethesda wouldn't be blind to that fact. That, we're talking like Fengrush, for example, will go on there and will pull in a big crowd while he's doing his PvP. Anyone that's worth their salt in PvP is actually pulls a fairly decent crowd as a streamer, and that's so. You open the door to turning this into an esport and bring along, as we saw prior to the announcement, we had a large streamer that doesn't usually play ESO coming back to play ESO. It may be a pull to get some of the player base from those other type of esports games into Elder Scrolls.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I'd be skeptical about that, just given that they seem to be very adamant to keep the mechanics the same for PvE and PvP. And whilst I think they do, I mean, it depends who you talk to. Some people are really salty and some people are oblivious. But I think while that remains the case, I don't think the PvP can be balanced enough for it to really succeed as an esport. It's not really, I feel like it's not their focus. They obviously have a lot of PvP in the game and they're aware that there are plenty of people that play PvP. But I really feel like they're investing in PvE, and particularly the people that just want to jump in and run around and quest and decorate their houses, and the casual player base, I think, is where the money is for ESO. So I can't imagine them getting the balance fine-tuned enough that people would really consider it for something truly competitive.
Yep, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of new players, Rich was saying that the influx of new players this year to Elder Scrolls was the biggest it's ever been. So it's been the biggest year for new players.
Not surprised at all.
Which is fantastic because it means the game is super healthy, which we all know because we're playing it.
Hashtag dead game.
Well, it did win the best MMO
for a couple of years running, I think, as well. People's Choice MMO. And I've certainly known people who've left ESO to play other MMOs, and it's like, oh, well, I guess you're not playing that one anymore because it doesn't exist. So previous updates have included the Skill Line Advisor, which I think has been really helpful for new players. The login rewards is also great for new players with the kind of continuous trickle of skill scrolls as well, XP scrolls. We've got 3 actually new features that are coming that will really improve quality of life both for new players and for existing players and for that matter, players who are coming back. So there were the zone. I forgot exactly what it was called. Basically,
achievement.
yeah, sort of a zone guide, I think it was, that you can open up
Mhm.
that will show you what achievements you're missing in a zone, direct you to the next likely quest that you should probably be doing, which is great. You can get lost in a zone and not quite know what to do next, especially if you're not a
Mhm.
completionist, or you jump around, you come back and you go, okay, I don't want to have to do everything,
Especially
but
if
I'd
it's been
like to finish the
Tamriel, where
quest.
you don't have
Especially
to do it in a straight line anymore.
in a straight line, that's right. You can kind of go anywhere and do anything. Thoughts about the zone advisor? Good idea? Think it's necessary?
Certainly can't hurt.
Angry Wolf,
I
what do
think
you
it's
think?
very
That's
new-friendly,
good.
new-friendly
Yep.
player
Um,
base, especially because influx. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, having this VG start recently, I see the frustration of the pointers over there. Where do I go? Where was I on this quest? Things like that. You know.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Yep,
you
no.
see the frustration from a new player.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So we've also got, which is fantastic, the merchant UI has been improved. There'll be searching.
Mhm.
So you can search for that
Guild
particular,
traders.
the guild trader.
Yeah.
So certainly if you're on PC, there are add-ons that add that functionality, and I cannot imagine playing it without it. So if you're on console, this is a massive improvement. It really, really is. So,
And I'm
thoughts?
hoping, even with the add-ons, it's still not perfect, obviously. But you can, if you're looking for a very specific item, you often have to step through pages of they're filtered out so you don't see them, but the pages are still there, so you kind of have to cycle through them, you know, because it's buried at the bottom because it's sorted by price or whatever. So even with the like, I think I use Awesome Guild Store, and it still can be, if you're looking for something very specific, it can still be really difficult to find. So I'm hoping that the improvements to the base UI will make, you know, shopping that much faster.
Yeah.
And I think that leads then into the guild finder as well, which many new players ask in Zone or ask in chat. I want to join a guild. I'm looking for a trading guild. I'm looking for a guild that will help me do dungeons. So there is a new guild finding UI, which of course will then tie into being able to better find a trading guild and then find the things in the trading guild that you're looking for. What do you think, Angry, of the new guild finder?
I definitely think it's a very important thing moving forward, especially with new players coming in to the game. I've always seen in like Craglorn or just in Zone Chat, you know, looking for guild or something like that, like whether it's PvE or PvP. With this, you can just literally, like, even it's a category, like it doesn't have to be like a specific guild. It can be like just a PvE guild or a casual guild. I think there was a casual guild option. But yeah, I've seen like in forums as well, they're asking in the forums like for a specific guild, like, can I join a PvE guild that does casual trials and all that? Like, so with this new feature, I definitely think that'd be a good thing, especially for new players or existing players who just want to try something different.
And I think it'll be very good on
also
console
helps
as well. Yeah. What do you think, Daku?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be also be good for new groups of players that want to start a guild.
Oh, yeah.
In that regard as well, because we've got a lot of large guilds that are well established and have been here since the beginning. And if you want to start a guild, you've either got to have a pre-existing community, or you've got to go and spam Zone Chat or troll the forums, which aren't actually that active. Like I've been in there. You have to constantly poll it all the time, looking for people going, "Oh, I'm looking for a guild," and then there'll be all these replies: "Join mine, join mine, join mine, join mine," and that sort of thing. So having an official way for people to just go, "I need a guild. This is what I'm looking for." Search, and we'll come up with ones that best match it. Would be the ideal.
Yeah, like even in streams, I see people asking, "Oh, is there a PvE guild going, or is there a PvP guild going on?" But now you can just, with this new feature, instantly do it.
One thing I would like to know, well, actually, I would like to know when these particular features are coming out. Are these coming part of the Q1? Though we'll find out next week on the public test server.
Yes.
So I want to know when these extra features are launching. I am hoping that
Mhm.
these quality of life ones actually come like now, which would be really good.
Mm.
I'd like to know that you don't have to list your guild. I think is also good because maybe you
Mhm.
are full,
Mm.
maybe you've just got a little guild for friends. I think it would be important that you can choose to list your guild in the guild finder or not. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Mhm.
I'd like to test that next week, pretty much. So,
Mm.
now
And
speaking
also, what
of,
is it?
oh yeah,
What's
go.
the end result of finding a guild? Like, do you, if you find a guild that you're interested in, does it just give you an option to send a mail to the guild master or an officer, or do you
Application.
actually?
Yep, it's like a built-in application form in the actual UI
Oh, really?
that then goes to
So
the
this is another
guild, so
thing I
they
missed.
can. You miss this one too. No, it's really good. So then you can actually use that
Right.
that interface to actually review the members and say, "Yep, that's good. No, that's yeah,
Oh,
yes,
cool.
they're
Yeah,
suitable or
nice.
otherwise."
Yep.
Invite them inside there. Presumably, there's going to be
Because I'm
some
in the
sort of
process of recruiting for my guild, so this is
this is okay.
high
Something you're looking
importance
for.
to me right now.
Initiative,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely. But I also
Yeah.
think that it's probably really great for console as well because you can probably set all that up. So maybe like an introductory message. So when
Mm.
somebody joins your guild, there's no switching to a keyboard or trying to type. You can
Yeah.
actually just have it auto send all that information. They join, they have everything they need to be an active member in your guild. So I think that's really fantastic. So BBD in my chat is suggesting that there does need to be another category called storage guild. So if you're just looking for somewhere to dump your
Like a storage
10,000
unit, yeah.
tomatoes, you can join a guild just specifically for that. So PTS next week. So that'll be presumably Tuesday Australian time. So very exciting. But also you can pre-purchase elsewhere now. It is actually on
Already
the
done.
store
Yes.
right now. Oh, you're done already.
I think I
Well
got 2 copies, is that right?
Well done.
That's
right.
That's fantastic. So one thing which is fantastic with the chapter purchase is that when you purchase it, you'll also unlock Vardenfell, so Morrowind, and Somerset as well. So
Mhm.
it's really great for new players. We've got these improvements for new players. That's why I'm hoping these new player friendly things will actually launch Q1 because you can use them while exploring Vardenfell and Somerset and the main game until Elsewhere launches. So you can actually create a character now and then start doing stuff in the world before straight away. You don't need to wait for 6 months. You can actually get going in the game right now, which is fantastic. So upgrade price was US $39. So I obviously didn't go and look at all the prices. So did you, Daku? Did you notice what the other prices were, or did you
I
just
looked at the digital
click buy?
collector's edition
Yep.
upgrade.
Oh, okay. And how much was that one then?
$79.90.
79.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so it would be 39 then for the non-collectors. 79. So what did you end up getting in the collector's edition? So there was a couple of super cool Khajiit mount. Crown crats, yep.
Yep, and there was the dragon
It'll
imp
be
pet.
looking.
Ah,
Yeah.
the cool imp. That's the baby dragon in
Yeah.
disguise thing. Yep, that's right. Because baby dragons are not law friendly. So in order to get a baby dragon, you have to have an imp that disguises itself as one. I'll take it. Honestly, that's fine. Give me a baby dragon. It's no problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just a bit bummed that there's no physical copies of it.
Yeah, well, that was a bit of a thing too. But
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons that they may have had that could be just a logistics thing. Because I know when I ordered Somerset, I got it through EB Games here, and every time I checked in, they said that would be released 2 weeks after it go live.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I want to play the day it goes live.
Yeah.
So and
Especially with
some of the
PC,
other stuff.
technically, well, not technically, but practically getting early access because of the
Yeah.
you know,
2
the
week.
difference in release with console. So
Yeah.
people are waiting for their physical editions that don't, you know, they don't get them until console gets theirs. You know, Plus, there's the whole factor of I already own the game. I don't really need to buy the whole game all over again just to get the shiny goodies. So I'm hoping there's a way that we can just get some shiny goodies without buying the whole game.
Yeah, so they did,
which I did for Morrowind, but I did not do for Somerset.
Yeah. So they did suggest that there will be merchandise you will be able to purchase. So I'm assuming it'll be in the store.
At that.
I'm still waiting for my T-shirt. It should be in the store today. I want to buy it, but it's not there yet.
No, very
I
nice.
want a dragon statue.
Oh yeah.
Oh, are you admiring my Skyrim dragon?
Oh
yes,
yeah.
I've been checking these out over your shoulder.
Very nice. Yes.
Well, I got my Colossus up there.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, I've got Namira too. Got Namira now, but no, I missed out on the Colossus. So, I think it's super sensible that they actually dropped. Like, it just seems to have caused over a couple of years. It does seem to have caused heartache on the actual Bethesda side. So I think it's actually a great idea that we'll just drop the physical edition entirely. If you want to buy the cool bits, presumably they'll have, you'll be able to buy obviously a statue. They'd be dumb not to do a statue that you can just purchase. But then you can get that any time.
The books are really good as well.
Oh yeah.
No, that's right. The books, the art books. Yep, they're amazing.
Yeah.
No, that's right. So
I don't know if any of you experienced with the Morrowind expansion. You got, as you do now when you purchase the digital edition, they'll give you a mount today. So if you go and buy that now, you get a free mount in game today.
Yep,
they did the similar thing with Morrowind, but if you bought the physical, you didn't get it. You had to then go and scan your receipt, send it over to Bethesda case, and get them to do that. Could you imagine the overhead on that?
Yeah,
the overhead on Bethesda to try and cater for all that.
Yeah, no, that's right. And just the admin, and then missing people, and then it's bad. People are complaining on Twitter, and then it's just, I think it's super sensible. They've just gone, nope, let's just simplify our supply chain, basically, and we'll just offer digital only. I think that's a great idea. Let's talk about the other really interesting thing, no CP. Well, sorry, no more CP. CP is going to be capped at 810, which is where it is right now.
I did miss that.
I missed that too. So please explain.
So no, Rich Lambert basically said we have heard the community saying that they're not happy with the power levels of people keep going up and up and up. So we're capping for the foreseeable future. They're capping CP at the 810. There'll be no more increases. Okay. They're actually just going to re-look at the system. Thoughts?
What am I going to do with my other 200 CP?
Yeah, looks pretty. Like, in a sense,
it's max CP yet, so I'm happy.
It's sort of it is kind of an achievement kind of thing. I mean, you get to see, like, if it's there as a visual thing, it's EPing basically. So, but apart from that, good or bad? What do you think?
Well, I thought they did mention though, and which I really like the idea. They're going to offer a boost for people that aren't at cap. So they're probably trying to get people higher up before they release the cap, because it seems to be a lot of people are complaining it's a never-ending chase. You're chasing a shifting goalpost. So if they freeze the goalpost, give you a boost to try and get up there a bit quicker, then they can look at shifting it, and maybe they shift it once a year rather than once a quarter.
Maybe.
It's a struggle trying to recruit for a veteran trials guild. I run into that all the time because people are like, you're kind of targeting new people because it's a progression guild, so we're looking for people that are, they're not super hardcore endgame players, but they need to be at a certain level. And I typically say, 300 CP, because that's when your stats stop scaling. And once upon a time, that was only a couple of hundred CP short of cap. But now that's not even halfway to cap. And it's a huge grind for people that come into the guild, with a lot of people that have been playing for years that are all at cap. And they might have only just hit 300 CP, and they've got this massive grind ahead of them. And there's not really a lot of ways to speed that up except grinding, which is horrible. And I wouldn't make anybody do that.
Don't enjoy it personally, no.
I think it's pretty daunting as a new player as well, seeing like this massive gap between you being like just off the level 50 mark and seeing 810 just staring at you, and it's going to keep going up and up. It's pretty daunting and almost kind of makes you want to lose hope as well. Like, you're never going to get there because it keeps getting further and further away too. So
that's a really good point. I just had
someone in chat say it affects PvP as well, which is very true. CP can cause huge differences between players that are supposed to be kind of on the same level.
Look, I would be fine with CP being triggered towards things like harvesting speed. I think the treasure map one is really good.
Mhm.
I would
Oh,
like
yeah, I
to
have that.
see, yeah, I would like to see the CP, yeah, being basically not combat related, but maybe quality of life improvement related, or just, you know, kind of coolness. Maybe you reach a certain CP and you unlock another emote. That would be a nice way to use your existing progression to encourage your progression through the game as well.
Well,
Reward
that's
you
it.
with something cool,
Yeah.
but it's not combat related. So
Even as it is with the CP increases, it doesn't really feel like progression to me. Like, yeah, I get another 30 CP out of the 200 that I've got just sitting there, which obviously not everybody's got 1,000 CP, but it doesn't feel like meaningful progression to add an extra 2% to some of those stars, you know. So I don't really feel like I'm losing anything in terms of progression by them taking that away, and it gives them the opportunity to add something different, like you've said.
yeah. Okay, well, we're getting towards the end of our hour that we were chatting
Oh,
about
wow.
this. I know, right?
Yikes.
That's gone so fast.
So I know. Is there anything anybody wanted to address, to bring up? Anything extra we didn't cover yet? Anybody's chats?
Yeah, just
have
with
anything we
that
didn't cover?
Somerset.
Oh, you
Yeah.
first, Wolf.
Yeah,
Yep,
just
go
with
on.
the Somerset, you know, we had the Welconer wing with the wings that you could get, the motif. I was just thinking, like, maybe with the new release coming up, there would be potentially dragon wings, maybe.
Ooh.
Oh, okay, that would be
Maybe.
really cool. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes,
was
that
like,
would be awesome.
fangirling about that a little bit, yeah.
Oh, I've just thought of
like,
something
oh
else
no.
too.
Could be a memento or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, even doing like a trial and get them momentum from it, like turn it into a dragon. Like, who knows? Like with the March of Sacrifice, you know, at the end you got the
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you
beast
get the
person,
cool.
not,
Oh, the wolf thing. Oh, yeah, that would be awesome.
and then imagine just not even like a big dragon, just like a little small one or something like that, or even like spawn a small dragon that has circles around you. Like, who knows?
No,
That'd be
absolutely. I would also actually, one thing that they did mention very quickly was Cadwell comes back.
That's what I was about to say.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Cadwell, Cadwell, the undead guy. How does that tie into the necromancer story, I wonder?
So he won't be soul shriven, apparently, something like that. So
yeah.
Well, no, I think they said they're going to find out about what happened before he was soul shriven. Look, I'll be honest.
Oh,
I'm not a huge Cadwell
timey-wimey.
fan. I know that might upset a lot of people, but but I'm very curious to hear about pre-soul shriven, possibly pre-crazy. I guess we'll find out.
Yes, pre-crazy. No, that's true.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, pre-crazy. He could be some like sort of stuck up kind of, you know, Uncle Scrooge from the old Christmas Story type guy.
Yep.
Or he might be a really nice guy as well. Who knows?
Advisor to somebody or
Maybe.
something along those lines, maybe, and quite high up, powerful, and he's been laid low. But yeah, no, that sounds. I'm really interested to see what Cadwell's story is going to happen. But yeah, I'm just wondering if there's like some sort of tie-in between how does he end up? Like, he's soul shriven, obviously. Was it Manimarco's fault for him, or did he end up there some other way? So interesting. I've just redone the main quest on another character, so all of this is really fresh in my mind. So I would recommend doing the main quest again if you haven't done it for a while, just to get all the lore before we head into the new stuff.
Especially with
Plus,
Abner as well. Like,
you get to talk to
Abnathan
Abnathan a lot. So
yeah.
oh, he's so catty.
I do
No
wonder-
insult to Khajiits. It's just like, oh my god. He's fantastic. So I'm very much looking forward to running across him again.
I wonder with the necromancers being introduced, if there's going to be any sort of impact on the Mages Guild, because they were talking about the justice system, and we know the Mages Guild will not allow necromancers in their guild.
That's true.
Will they not allow necromancers, or you think the whole skill line will be locked?
Maybe potentially, yeah.
Or is it just we
Just
won't
not
talk to you if you're
available,
doing necromancy around us, kind of thing? But that would be really interesting if you choose you choose to play the necromancer, but then you have to give up a different skill line in order to do that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do the lore book grind.
I know, right?
Not an option. Which is great if we're all making new characters.
I know. Cindy in chat will be very disappointed. She loves the lore book grind. I don't know why. Anyway,
a lot easier on PC.
Racial passives. I'm not sure we can really talk about the racial passive changes. They will be coming. Presumably, we'll get the first taste of them in the PTS notes, which will be next week. So that will be very interesting. Everybody will get 1 race change token per account. Maybe that doesn't help you if you've got 15 characters, but you will get 1 free race change token. So it'll be something to look at later, maybe, yeah, next week. Definitely everybody should just be keeping an eye on the PTS notes to see what's coming. It will be very interesting. The meta could change again big time. Personally, I actually don't mind when the meta changes. For me, it's kind of like there's like this other level of the game, and when things change, it means, okay, now I'm going to play the game on this other level where I need to get different armor sets and things. For me, it's not. I realize for a lot of people it's annoying. It's like, okay, I got my things sorted, and now you're going to pull the rug out from under me and make me change again. For me, it's kind of like, okay, no, I'll play the game on that level as well. So I don't mind.
A new challenge.
Ask me again next week, though. Maybe I'll be yelling.
Yeah,
you
might
never
be
know.
completely
Well, I'm sure they won't be nerfing Khajiit. That would not be the right time to do it.
No, it would not be the right time to do it. So teaser quest coming probably before the Q2 release, usually a month before the Q2 release. So we'd look for that around start of May probably. Housing. There was just very quickly mentioned what sounds like the most amazing arena house. That sounds phenomenal. That you'll have traps and all sorts of stuff. I'm sure Inklings, if he's still watching, will very much appreciate having more traps in his house. Sure, that will be great. So yeah, looking forward to seeing.
Plants that attack you. So.
That's
Denmark, man. I felt the full force of that one.
Yes, as did I. As did I in Inkling's house. You should. Map, have you visited Inkling's house? You should go and look at his ink jelly shrine at the back. Just
yes.
I have. I go to his house all the time to change my mundus, but I haven't.
Oh no! Oh, you should do that, Matt. You should totally do that. It's up the back. Yeah, go do that.
He was in my chat not that long ago. He may still be there. I think he's spreading the love around.
He is. That's excellent. Okay, so but there were 2 houses that were mentioned, but the second house was not talked about at all because it seemed to be spoilerish. So it will be interesting.
Yeah, Inklings is still in chat.
Yes. So
just give me directions.
He's telling you, go now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are there any other final thoughts about the new 2019 content? Yeah.
The animations for the dragons looked exactly the same as the ones from Skyrim. So I'm really hoping you don't see any dragons flying backwards. As soon as I saw them, I was like, wow, that looks straight out of Skyrim, which is cool, except that I straight away associate that with all the weird bugs that also existed in Skyrim for the dragons.
Yes, no, fair enough. Well,
I'm sure that won't happen.
Technically, this is this is a ZeniMax game, not a Bethesda game, so we might be okay. So, if there's nothing else, nobody else got any other bits that jumped out that they really need to talk about right now? No? Okay.
Not at the moment.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody in everybody's chats for coming along and listening to us ramble in a semi-structured way for the last hour. Thank you, Angry, Map, and Daku for joining me here. Thanks to Fury76 from Bethesda for organizing the idea and then throwing out some promotions as well. So, and organizing drops, I think, for our channels. Probably they were working. I didn't even check.
That's
all right.
Didn't even look.
I didn't even look.
All of you, so I can get drops.
No, this was great fun. Yes, no, they are. I just checked then, so that's fine. This was great fun. So yeah, I do want to say thank you to everybody. If anybody has any questions, you can reach us on Twitter's probably the best thing. We're all on Twitter or Twitch. That was silly. I didn't actually put my TDU link only had everybody's Twitch addresses. But anyway, if you go to everybody's Twitch channel, do follow everybody else. Yeah, that would be also very much appreciated. So yeah, shout outs to everybody here. Yeah, this was awesome. We might do this again sometime.
Yeah. Thanks,
That would
IC.
be fun.
Yes.
No, thank you everybody.
Thank you, IC, for organizing all this too.
My pleasure. And I guess we didn't work out how we finished this cleanly. So I guess on the count of 3, we all put up our end screens. Is that the way we do it?
Yeah, we could try that. Mine's on fade, so.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for the bits.
Yeah, thank you for the biddies too. Did you get biddies too? Look at that.
I did. I got biddies.
Oh, me too.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Corn Forge. Thank you. All right, on the count of 3, we'll say goodbye. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.